As the season winds down, we were having a chat about, maybe some things we can, talk about at this point of the year. And we sort of decided we're going to work our way through all 30 teams in the NBA and sort of look at the season they had and sort of where they're hopefully going for the 23-24 season. The draft lottery obviously is just completed, and so we know where the picks are going to come into play now for all these rebuilding teams and lottery, teams. And we broken down some of these teams, and we'll break down each of these teams, obviously. With some moves from personnel to front office, perhaps, and what they should do to maybe take the next step for the team. And just for a bit of fun, we're going to sort of throw in some trades as well. And look, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if you thought this way, Nick, but these trades are obviously there's probably two criteria. One, they need to prove the team we're talking about, okay, and two, they might not be realistic. That's probably the bit of fun part here. So some ideal trade targets for these teams, whether it's realistic or not. We have looked at salary cap, obviously, so you can't really trade a $40 million player for a rookie. But obviously, some of the wish list that if these franchises could land one of these trades, could really sort of push them in the right direction. So I'm going to start obviously with the number one pick in the NBA draft this year, going to the San Antonio Spurs. And what do you reckon they should do, Nick?
So they should draft Wembanyama. I'm on the camp of I'm on look, I'm actually on the camp of I would be worried about his health and longevity based on the size of him. But it's just, you know what? You take him, and if it goes wrong, everybody treats you like they did with Greg Oden, right? The revisionist history with Greg Oden is Durant ended up having the better career, not that he wasn't the right pick at the time. If Wembanyama never pans out the way that we want it to, no one would blame the Spurs for doing it. So it's a real house money sort of pick, right? It's not like they took a flyer on him and then he ended up being like Giannis, from a 13th slot. It's clearly quite an easy thing. So they take him. That's the first step. So then, and this is where it gets already interesting. Uh, Popovich is currently the San Antonio Spurs coach. I think it's time to let him go. I know it sounds very odd. He's got the dynasties, he's got the championship pedigree, he's got the veteran leadership, but that man is old. I mean, that man's done his time, and I think you want a new wave movement in. I think San Antonio will be talking to, can you get Boris Diaw on the bench? Can you get Tony Parker on the bench? Can you get Manu on the bench? There is enough legacy there that they could get a collection of coaches that have some influence already in the French league to, I guess, really, really foster that environment because it's all about Wembanyama now. And if I haven't lost you already by getting rid of Greg Popovich, this is probably where it's going to happen. The roster's not great. There's no other draft picks, and they need to do a youth movement. And to do a youth movement, sometimes you have to make some sacrifices. And so here are the people being sacrificed by San Antonio Spurs. Doug McDermott and his $13 million contract would be gone. Devontae Graham and his $11 million contract would be gone. This is, salary per year. The Zach Collins $7 million would be gone, and Ken Burge, our favorite Pro Tour player, is also leaving the Spurs, and that puts you at about a 40 million sort of ticket. And you might be thinking, well, what on earth are you going to get in return for something like that? And you're going to get the high caliber Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets with 2 years left on his deal at 30 million. And somehow, some way, LaMelo Ball has found his way to the San Antonio Spurs. And you're going to be able to pair a very young, dynamic passer with a player that really could catch and shoot or dunk anything. And you might be thinking, why on earth would Charlotte want to do this? And I'll give you a teaser now, and I'll go into it more on my second pick. But I think Charlotte needs to blow it up. And those Ball brothers, right? You might be thinking, why would I advocate for this when San Antonio needs something? Those Ball brothers, I reckon they put too much mileage on their legs. And LaMelo keeps hurting himself. And I think Charlotte they go for the reset. They take Scoot. They go for the reset. They take these Spurs role players and they see if they can put something together. So just to summarize, you take Wemby, see you Popovich, and welcome Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball with your iron feet that have been reconstructed 10 times. All right.
Firstly, from my end, I've gone to pen and paper notes. These podcasts are starting to get serious here, right? And secondly, I didn't realize this series was tiered towards comedy. Because that's what I've heard. A comedy, dude. What the hell? I don't know. I don't know. I, I know I just mentioned that the trades could be a fantasy trade that's not really realistic. So I'll talk about your trade in a second. But you're just suggesting to trade the winningest, sorry, let go of the winningest coach of all time, okay, who's currently the Team USA, I believe, head coach too, because you want to recruit someone from France. You didn't actually go, well, they should sign Phil Jackson. you you suggested they should sign Tony Parker because he's French to coach his team. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you there in that take there. Obviously, I will agree that drafting Victor Wembanyama is a no-brainer. Okay, any team that landed number one pick would have taken him. They don't have to do any more scouting for that pick because they know who they're taking. Even if he breaks his leg right now in the French league, you still take him. Okay, and you covered that already. But I think the second step, or the next step here that the Spurs need to internally consider is they tank another year. They tank another year. You know, they're not looking to chase a playoff spot here. It's about development and culture and continuing to look at other prospects that fit alongside Wembanyama and his sort of unique sort of style of game and size that we've never really seen in the league before at that level, and hopefully get another top five pick next year. And I don't know if you looked at the 2024 prospects, at the moment, which could obviously go in any order, but there's another Europe kid, yeah, who's 7'3" as well. All right, not as much hype as Wembanyama. All right, but hey, the Spurs love the European sort of flavor there, and if they can land another high quality lottery pick in 2024 to pair with Wembanyama, now I think you're starting to flick the switch to go win now mode. Okay, I don't think this year, look, even if they make playoffs, they make 30 wins or something like that, that's cool. Sure, that's progress. But there's no point them going to the, 12th or 13th pick in the draft. All right, they would still want to make a high pick in the 2024 draft would be a smart and logical plan. So that to me is probably the strategy I see them taking here. Obviously talking about drafts here, sorry, trades here. Yeah, I don't know. You just got something to go with LaMelo Ball. I think you just want to send him anywhere in the world to just, play on his fragile ankles right now, right? Which you covered. So you said, hey, Spurs should trade for LaMelo Ball, even though he's got fragile ankles. But
Can I interject?
yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. When I approached the Spurs, I looked at it. What is their draft capital this year? What are they doing in future years? And what are their free agents? They're actually in a weird spot. There's no notable free agents this season, really, that are worth getting to go for a win now thing. So what I looked at is I said, Gordon Hayward's not going to play for you, and LaMelo Ball may never pan out. Great potential, but may never pan out. And then I probably should have mentioned this before. The tanking being bad, getting some more draft capital and attempting something serious in 24, 25, 26, that still plays out. But what you do is you get big money off the books in 2 seasons or 1 season, when you think about that trade exception stuff. And then you also get LaMelo Ball with the potential there. So as humorous as it was, the idea of it was Charlotte gets the reset. They get off LaMelo Ball. They don't feel obligated with that anymore. And Spurs can take the gamble on LaMelo Ball because I know I'm speaking very definitively about LaMelo Ball, but I don't think it's preposterous to say before he is 30, he has had a similar timeline to Lonzo. I think we talked about this. They've put a lot of mileage on their legs, and based on how their style of play is, where they
I,
need to run
I,
up and down
I'm let's
things.
I'm gonna say let's talk about LaMelo Ball with the Hornets, which obviously have the second pick a little bit more, all right. But at the end of the day, my trade here that I think the Spurs should swing, especially if they're not gonna go the tanking route. And hell, even if they go the tanking route and land another 7 foot European prospect, is that I put Zach Collins and Keldon Johnson on the trade block here, and they should trade OKC for Chet Holmgren. And you can already see where I'm going here. Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama for the San Antonio Spurs. Now you've got twin towers in 2023 that not only are 7 foot tall but can shoot the three. that can handle the ball. And I don't know where the league's going to go now. Everyone's going to pretend they're 7 foot tall, just like everyone thought they were Steph Curry when they could splash threes. Now everyone's now going to pretend they're 7 foot tall. And I want to be like Victor. But I think the Spurs would have a winner there if they were able to land Chet Holmgren.
I think the trickiest part there, obviously, it's a hard sell for me to say LaMelo parting with Charlotte makes total sense for them, but I think OKC moving off Chet doesn't really make a lot of sense either. Keldon
We
Johnson has a lot
covered
of
this.
potential, but he
It
needs
doesn't
to
have
get
to be
time.
realistic to trade.
Well, I just feel like I feel like I instantly got crucified when I opened my mouth, and yet, you're just taking OKC's most interesting prospect away from them for really nothing, and that's fine. Okay,
No,
all right,
I'm
I
just
see. All right, I
wait.
see.
Let's go back to one step here. We got 20 more 9 teams to go here, and we're starting to get a sweat up already, right? So, I guess the key here though is that you're saying we're looking at trades that make this team we're focusing on get better. Yeah, and I'm saying Chet Holmgren to the Spurs would make the Spurs get better. You're effectively saying that LaMelo Ball could to the Spurs probably make them worse. Yeah, he's not going to even get to 30, all right, and he's got no life left in his ankles. That trade makes the Spurs effectively worse.
Draft capital is never a bad thing, and LaMelo Ball's on a relatively decent contract at present, and I don't know what the specifics around it are, but the team that didn't draft him wouldn't be able to offer him as much of an extension, which means that you can manage his finances better. You don't want to end up in the same situation that Lonzo's currently in, where he's on 20 million a year and he may never play a game of basketball again. And yes, there's things that set in the league to assist with that, but I just feel like I feel like that's where my heart lies. Okay, and my heart chose Miami, and I think my heart is right to say that there's some merit in Lamelo going to Spurs. So
This is two guys with spare time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.